I'm gonna give you 12 tips on how to grow a woodworking business from zero. If I was doing it over, this is what I would do. Let's go. I had barely anything when we started. I borrowed a circular saw and 2 drills, and I had $100 to my name. And I started building stuff with that. I've learned a lot over the last 7 years. Let me tell you about it. Tip number 1, where do you start? Well, you start with what you got. Because I started with I told the story a bunch of times. Started with 2 drills and a circular saw that were all 3 borrowed from family members. I didn't have any tools to do anything with. I did have a square and a tape measure, but I didn't have none of the tools that I needed to cut wood and put it together, because that's as simple example of woodworking as you'll ever get. That's what I needed. I saw these chair plans on the internet. I was goofing around on the internet one day and I saw this outdoor chair set from Jay Bates with free plans. I thought, I can make that. And I made those, I set them up, I was gonna sell them. My wife come home, she saw them, she's like, I want them. I said, no, I wanna sell them. We had $100 to her name at that point. Well, less than that, because I'd bought the 2 before to build the chairs. And so she helped me stage it up right here in this garage. Matter of fact, it's probably right here where this workbench is sitting. We put this chair and outdoor table set on a rug. She put pillows in the chair, maybe a drink on the table, took some photos. Those things sold like that. If she hadn't staged them up, because I didn't know about staging, she did. If she hadn't staged those up properly, they would have never sold, or they would take months to sell. I sold those, we sold those, we repeated the process. I went and bought more material, made more chairs, and then that created the process. So the best number 1 tip I can give you is start with what you got. If you have to borrow tools, go borrow some tools. If you have to go to the pawn shop and buy a circular saw and a drill, it's really all you need. Some screws and some glue and a drill and a circular saw. Square and a tape measure. Like, we're talking less than $100 worth of actual tools to get started woodworking, and then you can go from there. But the main thing is just start, because if you don't start, you'll never get there. Number 2 tip I can give you on growing a woodworking business from zero is what I wish I would have done. I wish I'd have had a goal and a plan written down and said, this is what we're going to do over the next X months so that we can get to where we want to go. Because I didn't do that. I didn't have a plan. I was just throwing things against the wall to see if they would stick. Some things sold, some things didn't. And so it's very difficult to trudge through that without a plan, which is why we come up with the Woodworker's Chronicle. This is a business plan and customer order book designed specifically for woodworkers. It is massively powerful when you write down your goals and your dreams of your business. For instance, if I was starting from zero, this is kind of a mock plan that I would come up with. What are your dream goals? My dream is to work for myself in my own business, doing things I want to do on my time. How awesome is that? So that's the goal, that's the dream, that's the ultimate thing that I want. So now we got to reverse engineer how we're going to get to that end goal in mind, or the dream goal, right? So we're going to start with a 3-month, 6-month, 1 year, and 3-year goals. Where do I want to be in 3 years? I want to be full-time in 3 years. So now reverse engineer that back. Well, where do I need to be at 1 year? Well, I want to have $20,000 in revenue the first year. After the first year, $20,000 in sales, that can be significant. But that also gives us a little bit of a higher goal to shoot to, right? So we're shooting for the moon. If we land them on the stars or whatever, you're still succeeded, that kind of idea. It's a lofty goal, but we're going for that goal. So then back that up 6 months. Where are we going to be at 6 months? I want to have a steady income stream from my woodworking business. So I've got steady customers coming in after 6 months. I'm constantly making money after 6 months, and I know I'm starting to figure out what products are selling in my area. Then you back that up to the 3-month goal. I want to have $2,000 in 3 months. So then we're got to go from $2,000 all the way to $20,000 in that year. But things scale faster once you start figuring things out. So I know that it's going to take me a few months to get everything rolling, find out the products, my customers, etc. So that's where I want to be in 3 months. It's also important to know why you're creating things, what you do now to earn a living, what's your dream way of earning a living, what impact do you want to have on your customers, because there's something very powerful about knowing your why. Once you understand why you're doing things, you are driven more and more to continue to do that so that you can achieve your dream. Tip number 3 is love what you build. Because if you get into a situation where you don't like building a certain product, then you're going to be disgruntled with it. You're not going to have fun. It's just going to be monotonous. You're just like, oh man, not another order of one of those, type things. I've been there. There's been a couple of products I was like, I really don't like building those. But then there's some products you really enjoy building. Now, when you first start, you may have to build some of those. I don't really like this one, but it's bringing in good income. That's a little bit different. If it's just not worth it as far as time and effort goes, just kind of push that to the side. Sometimes you have to cut things loose to grow the business. We've done that before. We had a really good seller, and I knew that it was just taking up so much time that if I let it go, it was our stove covers. If I let those go, I could focus on other things. So just make sure you enjoy what you're doing, because if this is your dream job and this is your dream goal to make this your retirement income, or make this a full-time income before you retire, or just have part-time income, you really do want to enjoy being in the shop. It shouldn't be something you don't look forward to, because if you're dreading going to the shop, then it's just not, it's going to be the same thing as if you're dreading to going into work now. You just have a different place you go and you still dread. So make sure you enjoy what you're building. And some people just love building stuff. So it doesn't matter what it is. If they can smell the sawdust, they're perfectly happy. And if that's you, that's awesome. Tip number 4. I wish somebody would have told me this. I probably knew it, but nobody told me. It takes time. It takes a long time to build a business without a plan, which is why we like to plan. I'll give you some sample business plans as well, but it takes time. You're running a marathon, not a sprint. I wanted everything now. I still do. I want this, and it's not happening. So we get impatient. It's just human nature. We're very impatient. Just know that it takes time to build things and to figure out where you're going and what products are going to sell, who your target customer is. It just takes time. So be patient. And I want you to know it's okay if things aren't going at the speed you think they should. Just give it time. As long as you're moving forward, as long as you're still making sales, as long as you're still making profits on your products, it's okay. You're going to be okay. Tip number 5 is don't get overzealous on wanting to buy certain tools that you really don't need. For instance, maybe you don't need the domino. maybe you don't need the fancy sander yet. Maybe you're getting by with what you got. You're taking those extra profits that you're making and you're putting those back into tools you actually need. Maybe you need a better table saw, because those are needed in certain cases. Maybe you need a more accurate and safer miter saw. Maybe you need a track saw because you're cutting a bunch of plywood and you could do without those other tools that maybe you don't need. Maybe you don't need the upgraded sander. The sander you have now is working fine. You don't need the Festival Domino because you're getting by with doing your standard mortise and tenon or pocket hole jig or whatever you've got that's working. So just kind of start really thinking about, do I need this tool at this point? Because I've been guilty of buying stuff I really didn't need at the time. I wasn't going to use much. Matter of fact, there's tools that I bought that I've used a couple times and then they just sit on the shelf. It's a waste of money. And when you're trying to build a business, the last thing you want to do is waste money. So really evaluate if you need the tool or not. Tip number 6 is don't trust anyone. What does that mean? Take a deposit. If you're making commission pieces, if somebody wants you to build a table or a custom flag or a custom cutting board, anything that's custom to that person, you have to take a deposit. I took 50% down, but I didn't do it at first. When I first started, I didn't take any deposits, and I had a custom flag order for a fellow police officer at the time. I made this custom flag, and then when it come time for him to actually come pick it up and buy it, he backed out. He's like, I don't want that now. I was like, so now I'm stuck with this flag. It kind of ruins the relationship because now I got burned by this person. So I don't care if they're friends, I don't care if they're family, I don't care if they're coworkers. Just say, hey, my policy is to take a 50% deposit. That helps cover me, that helps cover you. You pay this deposit, you know that I'm going to work on this product. I get the deposit so you know that I know that I at least have my materials covered if you change your mind later, because I'm fixing to start working on this. And when I took a deposit, I put them on the schedule because that's another added bonus. You know, I'm booked for 4 weeks out. If you want on the schedule, you give me the deposit, you'll be third in line, and I'll be starting on your project on about this date. And that really does help things. And then that deposit helps cover some of the material as well as some of your time if they do back out. Tip number 7 is be risky cautious. I think there's healthy risks taking when you're starting a business, when you maybe take that extra little bit of a leap to buy the tool that you think you need, or if you take that little leap to go after a product or a project that's a little outside your comfort zone, there's some risk there that I think is healthy. But I've seen people who get into woodworking and they love it so much and they think, I'm gonna make a full-time job out of this, so they go out and buy all the tools they think they need, and then they quit their full-time job without ever establishing products or customers in the woodworking business. It's very risky to do that, because now if you don't have an income source coming in and then you go and start a full-time business that's going to require money to run, that's very scary. I like the start part-time business model like I did and then go full-time, because that gives you an avenue to start realizing what type of products you're going to sell, who your actual customer is, and how you can best serve that customer. And then you can start basically building a nice income coming in from those customers before you leave your full-time job. But it's also some risk involved leaving a full-time job at any point. But it's a healthy risk if you already have customers and product revenue. Tip number 8, business plans, business licenses, LLCs, accounting. Oh, it's so confusing, right? And that's one thing I was so confused about when I first started. I didn't have a business plan. We're going to start with that. Every business should have a plan, and it doesn't have to be like super detailed. You just kind of have to have a general idea of who you are and who your customers are. It's pretty much what a business plan is. I'm going to pop up 2 business plans that I come up with as a sample. One's very simple and one is a little more detailed. This is in our Sawdust Startups community at sawduststartups.com. This is kind of a general idea of kind of what you're going to do. So as an identity, your company will have an identity. Mine's going to be 2x4 Wood Company manufactures high quality handmade furniture using highest quality woods and finishes. That's my identity. That's who we are. It's what we do. The problem, because you always need to solve a customer's problem. And the problem we're solving is that the customer is looking for unique, high quality furniture that will last. Unlike the particle board mess that they're buying at these local stores that are breaking, that when they set a cup on it, it all bubbles up. You know what I'm talking about. Like, it's just nonsense. But we're going to provide them a nice piece of furniture that they're not able to get at these chain stores. We're going to have a solution for that problem right here. Our hand-built furniture is made from solid woods, and it's built to last a lifetime. Doesn't matter if it's hardwood, pine. I built so much stuff out of pine, y'all. Still living, it's still in my house, still works fine. Don't let them lie to you. Pine is fine. We're going to have a target market. We're going to set up our revenue streams. Like, this is kind of an overview of what we really want, or kind of the direction of the company. There's a more advanced one there as well if you want to kind of dig a little deeper into it, because you may want to really dive down into who your customer really is and find how you're going to sell in person and online, how you're going to basically create revenue. There's a lot of different stuff there that you can really dive into, but be really cautious that you don't get the paralysis by analysis, as they say, because you can start looking at all this stuff and get kind of freaked out and a little bit like, oh man, this is too much. I can't do that. Like, I don't have any business experience. Well, I didn't either. I'm telling you right now, a simple business plan, I really think you should start with a simple one. That'll get you kind of pointing in the right direction. Tip number 9, how do you find customers? Where are the customers? Because when you start, you're like, who am I going to sell this to? I just built this, or I want to build this. Who's going to buy it? What I did was post it on Facebook. It's still viable. Facebook Marketplace, your Facebook page, tell friends and family about it. One of the biggest pieces of advice I ever got in business was ask for the sale. Because if you don't ask for the sale, they're never going to know that you're selling stuff. It just makes sense, right? So if you have products, I know Make a Wood sign. If you've seen them on YouTube, they make signs. They were here in the shop, made me a custom watch charger. They take their custom signs with them, like just out and about. They'll like walk into Walmart with it hanging up. People say, where'd you get that sign? We made it. There you go. Shake your hand. Introduce yourself. Hey, we make these signs. That is fantastic. I'm not telling you to walk around Walmart with a cutting board, but if it's awesome, you never know, But you can just like ask for the sale. A lot of people go into real estate offices. We've talked about that. They go in, they shake the real estate's hand, they give them a cutting board, say, hey, I make these custom cutting boards. I would love to provide these for your clients at X, whatever the price. Like, we could talk about price, however you want to do that. But just introduce yourself to the local businesses. You could go into the doctor's office and offer to build a coffee table the next time you're getting your checkup. Say, hey, doc, man, I can make you an awesome coffee table for your lobby to put those magazines on. That one you got out there is kind of busted looking. Doesn't really look all that great. There's different avenues. A friend of mine goes to a steakhouse. He's eating a steak. They got the steak on the cutting board. The cutting board looks like trash, and he said, can I talk to the manager? Manager comes out. Hey, I make cutting boards. This one doesn't look good, and this is your business. Like, it would look better if I made it. And so I'll bring you a sample. Brings him a sample. Dude orders like 8 on the spot. So he makes him 8, and then he goes back a month or 2 later. He's like, hey, these are starting to get kind of cut up. I can refinish these, put a new finish on them. They'll look good as new for X dollars per every quarter or whatever it is. I think it's every quarter. He goes back once a quarter, collects his cutting boards. Now the steakhouse is buying more and more cutting boards that he just keeps refinishing. This is awesome, awesome recurring revenue. There's so many opportunities to make money with local businesses. All you have to do is go in and introduce yourself. Start creatively thinking about what problem you can solve for them. Like, the options are endless there for in-person sales. When you first start out, it's a little intimidating to try to sell something, especially if you've never sold anything. So I always recommend finding one customer. One person is all you need to buy your one product, especially if they're wanting to make something a little custom. Maybe the paint's a little custom, maybe the size is a little custom than what you're normally making, or if you've never made it before, I've done a bunch of that. But that's going to give you the opportunity to get experience working with a customer, making a custom piece, and then they're going to be so happy with it. They're going to put it in their house. Friends, family's going to come over. Man, that's beautiful. Where'd you get that? They're going to tell them about you. Our main income from local sales was always word of mouth sales. People would tell you, hey, so-and-so built me this, built me this. It's going to start snowballing, and you're going to start getting more orders and more orders. If you make something really nice, really custom for somebody, they're going to tell others about it because they're proud of it. They're going to post it on their social media. They're going to tag you. It's going to be awesome. But you have to focus on that one customer first. Once you get the one customer, you kind of get a general idea of who they are, and you can start marketing basically toward that same similar style person. Now let's talk about online sales, because that is a massive marketplace. Like, millions of people are online looking for products, right? But how do you get to that one customer that you're really wanting to sell to? It can be kind of difficult. I highly recommend Facebook Marketplace. It's still viable today. We'll talk about that in a minute, how to get the most out of that. Etsy's also a good platform, but Etsy takes time. It's a marathon there. If you're going to set up an Etsy store, understand it may take you a few months to get one sale. It took me like 3 months to get a sale on there, and then a couple of weeks later I got another sale. It trickled in, then it really did start snowballing. Just a quick overview of Etsy. If you do start an Etsy store, which I highly recommend if you're making shippable products, put a couple of products on there to start with, about 2. And then like 3-4 days later, put another product on there. 3 or 4 days later, put another product on there. And what I did was I offered stove covers. I would build one stove cover, I would sell it. Somebody would say, hey, can you make this in this color? Yep, sure can. I would make it in that color, and then I would take more photos of that before I shipped it, because that would give me another option. And I would put that as its own listing. Dark walnut stove cover, then I would put the special walnut stove cover, and then the white stove cover, and then the distressed stove cover. So I had multiples as I built the business, and I got more and more custom orders. I would just retake those photos. So do that with anything that you're selling. If somebody orders something custom, take photos of it. Put that as a different listing. It's just a good way to add to your listings, and that will grow your Etsy store, because Etsy really likes for you to have an active store. In other words, you're on there adding new products, you're interacting with your customers, all that stuff. So that's really a good way to kind of jumpstart that Etsy. Also, you can build your own website. It's very easy. I have a step-by-step guide video you can go watch. I'll link in the description. It's super easy to set up a website, and you can set up your own e-commerce store. It's really, really easy. It's intimidating at first, but it's actually easy to do. When you get a website though, Google's not just gonna start sending people to your website. It's just not how it works. You have to send your own traffic there, especially at first, because you're not gonna rank in search, or you're not gonna get shown in searches. What you need to do is I would put it on my business cards, and when you hand those out so they can go to your website, especially if you're talking to customers. And you can also plug it on your social media. You can show a product and say, you can buy this on my website, www.2beforewoodcompany.com. And then you can send them to that website to be able to buy the products off of your social media. So having a website's a really good option. It's not mandatory when you first start. It's just nice to have. Tip number 11, when I first started, I had zero business experience. I had no idea how to market anything. I had no idea how to take photos of products. I had no idea how to plan a business, run a business. How am I gonna find customers? I had nothing, like I knew nothing. And over the years, my wife, trial and error, have figured out what works and what don't for us. And with that, we wanted to be able to figure out how to give that back in a meaningful way, with a group of like-minded individuals to push them to grow in their business. So we started what we're calling sawduststartups.com. You can go there and check it out. In this online community, you get access to 14 hours of video content that teaches you how to build a brand, how to sell online, how to sell on Etsy, how to sell on Facebook Marketplace, how to take proper photos, some advanced stuff and some basic stuff. We're gonna walk you through it from the basics all the way through the advanced on how to grow a woodworking business in your area. You also get access to group coaching that's happening twice every month, live group coaching where you get your questions answered. We can all kind of figure things out together. Also, there's a community there of like-minded woodworkers who are building their own businesses, who can answer questions as well, what's working in their area, what's not, you can bounce ideas off of. Basically creating a mastermind of people who want to grow a woodworking business. Check us out and see if it's right for you. This is a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't like it, you can bounce and you'll be out nothing. But sawduststartups.com. Tip number 12. I'm a dream chaser and I'm a big dreamer. I have big goals and big dreams, and I've always been a dreamer. My dad was always a dreamer. He dreamed big. Don't be afraid to dream big. Chase it. Chase it with everything you got. Sometimes it's going to suck. Sometimes it's going to not be fun. But overall, your big dream goal should stay at the forefront of your mind, and you should be chasing that dream. And it's going to take work. The tip is it's going to take work. It's not going to be easy. Nobody's going to give you a magic pill or a magic potion that says, bam, you're a full-time business owner now. It takes time to grow things, and it's hard. It's hard work, but it's fun work when it's yours, right? So if you can build something that's yours, that you and your family can do, or just you can do, especially if you just want to do it part-time, or if you want to take it full-time, or if this is going to be your retirement income, it's possible. I'm telling you, it's possible if you work at it and if you take the right steps and you plan correctly. I hope this video has been helpful for you to be able to push you in the right direction to start your own woodworking business or to grow it to where you need it to go. If you like this video, there's an older video, clean shaven, but I do tell you how to build an Etsy store. All that's still relevant. Click that box, get you a big old virtual fist bump. Or you can check out that video. It's a pretty cool one too.